kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome to the beautiful Sunshine State of Daytona Beach, Florida. Live for the Races Elite Superspeedway Series. Glad you could be here. My name's Alan Bergen. Alongside of me, my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, who is going to be sliding in here just in a few seconds if he already hasn't, as we are in indeed for a great show, as these guys are starting their chase here tonight at Daytona Beach with the Racers Elite Superspeedway Series. I'm your host, Alan Bergen, alongside Matt Metler, just south of St. Louis here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Studio. And we have a treat for you tonight. There may be a big fight down with Tyson and Jake Paul, but hey, we got all the action here on the Racers Elite Superspeedway Series. So from the green flag to the checker flag right here on Sim Racing Media. And I tell you what a night this is going to be here. 12 drivers in the race so far, as we are qualifying right now. So far, Justin Curtis has set fast time with a 49.71. Kinsley Smith matches his time with a 49.71. The Colonel Kirby Wainscott has ran his fastest lap of 49.72, while Truth Hook matches him. Chris Blasi is working his first lap right now. There's that number 11. And there's that. I just love when it does that. We're going to see a little blip. And all better. Justin Curtis is going to go top of the charts with a 49.70. While we wait on my wonderful broadcast partner, Chris Blasi times in with a 49.74. Brandon Honeycutt out of Elizabethton, Tennessee. Last night's winner at Auto Club Speedway with the Racers Elite Cup Series. And he's going to go 6th fastest.
Tell you what, Alan, I was expecting a little more speed out of that qualifying effort from Honeycutt. He's usually really good at these super speedways, but then again, we all know super speedways, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And this guy, driver of the number 13 TRD Camry, knows how to finish these things. So, starting 6th, not all too shabby for the iRacing veteran, as everyone continues to chase down the newcomer, Judson Curtis, as he has the hot lap here at Daytona, as Alan mentioned moments ago, clocking in at a 49.70.
Yeah, Matt, and everybody, welcome my broadcast partner, just sliding in like the Walker, Texas Ranger that he is, Mr. Matt Matler, out of, Florida. I feel like this is home track for you.
It is. Obviously, this place is special to me. I'll never forget the first time I went here back in, I believe it was 2018. It was Danica Patrick's last race. She had the GoDaddy colors back on the car. And nothing quite like the Daytona experience. However, if you want to get techno, Miami Homestead's closer, but still, what an experience of a lifetime going to my first 500. Certainly, an occasion I'll never forget now is the HMFIC of the league, sporting that throwback paint scheme to Bill Elliott's McDonald's The Nighttime is the Right Time paint scheme. He's been on a hot streak as of recent, hasn't he, Alan?
Yes, he has. And that's the Mac at Night paint scheme. Matt, we're going for somewhat of a streak here tonight too, buddy.
Well, fill me in. What's the streak? What's the occasion?
So the streak is, when me and you are in the booth, these races go caution free. We're 3 for 3. Knock on wood. We're going 4 for 4.
You know what? I was thinking about that. I think you alluded to it in the Discord earlier today, but sometimes you know how bad that broadcaster's curse can be with me, so I'm glad you said it and I didn't, but I agree with you. I think tonight, it has all the makings. Looking at the drivers in this field is, wow, Andrew Teff puts down a missile of a lap at a 49.69. That's going to be good for P1. However, still time remaining in qualifying to dethrone Andrew Teff from the pole. However, you got to get out there soon because we're north of 7 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Absolutely.
And, yeah, the field's kind of small tonight, but there is a little bit of fight going on right now between, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Like, it's a big deal. It only broke the internet. I mean...
It's a big deal, I think, for all the wrong reasons, but I haven't watched boxing in forever. I can tell you, though, from what I've been reading up on, apparently Tyson is not supposed to step into the ring until roughly 11 p.m., so plenty of time to get this race in before the big stage kicks off here a little bit later on. I don't know about you, buddy, but I think Tyson's going to wrap this one up quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's just my prediction, though.
And that's why I don't spend $54 on fights. But you can watch all the action on Netflix. But before you go there, settle on the couch for that. Join myself and Mr. Matt Metler on the couch on your phones. Whether you're in the director, you know what, Matt? Here's the thing. Christmas lights are on right now. So if you're driving through the Christmas display, turn on the YouTubes and watch the Racers Elite Superspeedway Series. And you can hear myself and Mr. Matt Metler bring you all the action live from Daytona Beach, Florida. And I tell you what, man. I always love the scene where Ronald Reagan's just flying in. You see the airplane, Air Force One, landing on the just east of the back straightaway there in the Daytona International Airport.
Yeah, certainly that's some iconic history as you roll back through the films, the archives of NASCAR, days past, if you will, and that one resonates with me as well, as we just have about 30 seconds remaining in this 10-minute qualifying session. And I'm going to say Andrew Teff probably has that pole wrapped up as he continues to be a force to be reckoned with in virtually all the different series that makes up the matrix of Racers Elite.
Yeah, and, breaking news out of the Racers Elite, the Snowball Derby they're going to put on the Snowball Derby.
Well, hey, that is awesome. And you know what? I'm not surprised. As hard as Andrew Teft works, I mean, it's tough to, manage one series, let alone, 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 now, as I've been away from racing side of things for, a couple weeks. Maybe it's been over a month. But with that being said, it's great to be back up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth alongside my partner in Prime, the Allen Experience, Mr. Alan Bergen, as I believe that field is now going to start to get set, racked, ready to rock and roll behind that iRacing.com pace car.
Yeah, man, and before we get to the grid, the Faster Pastor is checked in.
Stony Benfield.
Faster Pastor, Motorsports iRacing, watching from Ecuador.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stoney, he's been racing in the revamped Dynasty Racing League. He put on one of his greatest performances of the season last Saturday night. So he's got a lot of mojo going right now. So can't wait to watch him do battle tomorrow night. We appreciate him checking in. Obviously, he's a legend of the Stacy Strong Cup Series.
Yeah, as we get ready to rock and roll, here's your starting lineup on the front row. From Hope Valley, Rhode Island is Andrew Tuff. To the outside, out of the great state of Texas, is Judson Curtis. On the inside of row number 2, driving extreme driver Kinsley Smith. And to his outside, starting 4th, out of the Chicken Coop Racing Stable, that's the Colonel, the Kirby Wayne Scott. Out of the outsiders, out of Hickory, North Carolina, it's Truth Hoke on the inside of row number 3. To his outside, Chris Blasian, starting 6th. On the inside of row number 4 will be Elizabeth, Tennessee's own Brandon Honeycutt. To his outside, starting 8th, will be out of DCD Racing, the one and only Greg McConey. Starting 9th on the inside of row number 5 will be from Boone, North Carolina, Troy Thomas. To his outside. Well, Matt, unless you're having an out-of-body experience or you turn the wheel over to your son, you'll be starting P10.
That's not to cut you off, but that's impossible.
on the inside of row number 6 will be out of Chicken Coop Racing, Dennis Kane, and to his outside, out of Hudson, Illinois, will be Rowan Lloyd. That is your 12-car starting lineup. And Matt, I'm glad you picked the perfect night here to slide in with me. And these guys get racked and stacked and get ready to do business here, as we're going to show you some of the onboard cameras here, as we're going to ride with Andrew Tuff throughout the night there at number 98, the Mac at night on board. A little bit deeper to field out of Hickory, North Carolina, that's Truth hooking that Wrangler Chevrolet onboard camera. What a shot he's going to have. And his teammates starting 9th tonight out of Boone, North Carolina. That is the Ford Performance on board with Troy Thomas.
Yeah, the Ford Performance on board with, I like to call him the Nitrous Cowboy, but as you mentioned, out of Boone, North Carolina, Troy Thomas, he's going to have his work cut out for him as he starts deeper in this field. And Alan, a lot of great-looking paint schemes on display tonight as we get ready to rock and roll here from the big house at Daytona. Right now, Alan, it's calm, but the storm is getting ready to unleash here momentarily as that pace car now leads the field through that turns 3 and 4 complex.
Yeah, I almost Steve Harvey'd the green flag here. Jeez Louise. I'm about 1,000. It's been a day, my friend. It's been a day. Nonetheless, Matt, Barney's got the flag in hand. You get to do the honors. Give me a good one.
You got it, brother. Well, we're about to lose that iRacing.com pace car. Here he goes, and here we go. Into the Geico restart zone. Wipe the dust, kick the clutch. Hope that rear end doesn't bust. Green flag in the air, and we are live at Daytona. And Alan, the nighttime is the right time for Racers Elite and Prime Time. And look at that big move in the back. The foreign Dennis Cage stuck where the sun didn't shine. I don't know how he fit that car in that hole, but no surprise. Andrew leads now early on here as we fire down the backstretch for the first time as they got it wound up tandem style on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, there may be only 12 cars in the field, but don't get it twisted. These guys are locked, loaded, and ready to rumble here tonight. I mean, Jake Paul and Tyson ain't going to have nothing on this race here tonight.
No, they certainly won't. As Andrew Taft getting a courtesy shove there from probably, one of the most electrifying drivers in this field tonight on the super speedway side of things. Not in the Napa know-how ride tonight, however, he is piloting that Martin Truex Jr. throwback to DEI days paint scheme, and he's got a hell of a dancing partner there on the bottom. No surprise, that bottom lane has got some serious boogie under the hoodie as we now go on board with Kinsley Smith.
Yeah, the driver out of Carlsbad, North Carolina. I mean, Andrew Tuff's got the best drafting partner out there, and that's, Kinsley Smith. Kinsley Smith does just about as good as anybody on this racetrack.
That's exactly where I was going with this, Alan. I mean, not only is he good on the restrictor plate side of things, he's almost, a sure bet anytime he, takes the green flag in the Racers Elite Series is, hey, Truth Hope in that 55 ride, he just threw up a lap of 45.89 as he went purple as we now go on board with that 55 machine. He's already up 2 positions and has cracked the top 3, Alan.
Absolutely. Coming down the back straightaway. Truth Hope wants to put together a night, and, we're chasing now. We're headed into the final 5 races of the season here, as these guys are getting cranked up to crazy on lap number 4. We've made it through 4 laps. Whoa, hang on to everybody. Hang on.
Yeah, a little bit of a flick of the wrist there from the 55 of Hoke as he went down to the flatlands and was able to bring it back up out of the racetrack, no problem. And sometimes, as you know, Alan, that is easier said than done. But don't look now, that outside lane, they're starting to get some mojo, being led by probably one of the race whisperers, I like to call him, in that body armor 12. That is Greg McConey commanding the outside lane.
Yeah, Greg McConey and Brandon Honeycutt always work together, and it's always magical to see those two working together. I mean, everybody's got those drafting partners where they, just work extremely well together, and it's like Brandon can read Greg's mind, Greg can read Brandon's mind, and just, you guys, you got those drivers that you just love working with.
You're right, and it's great to have that rapport and having a game plan, often like Greg does. But, the other side of Greg McConey, I don't think he gets enough credit for on these super speedways, is his ability to work with someone in the moment, those clutch times on the racetrack, where he can just adapt to someone that he's not necessarily accustomed to running with. And that's one of the other things that makes the driver of that 12 machine just so darn good at these racetracks is Andrew Teft has led everything since the drop of the green flag. He still commands this field as we fire into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, turns 1 and 2. Here comes that outside line. Getting a better run around turns 1 and 2, and here we go. Greg McConey to the outside. He's going to command the groups. Now, watch as Greg McConey and Brandon Honeycutt, they're going to drop down to the inside, and they're going to leave this high side out to dry.
As Dave Riegel would call that the shovel move, and that's one thing you got to be careful of. You start bailing on your dance partners, especially when they help you get to the front in the high side lane. You start just leaving them hang out to dry. They may remember that, and that could come to bite you at the end of this thing. So that's something you got to be careful of as a driver out here in competition, as McConey rockets to the front of the field for the first time this evening with a big-time push there from that 13 of Brandon Honeycutt.
Kirby Wainscott going to drop down in front of Andrew Teft, and he's going to be the first one to bail on the outside as you got the 17 of Judson Curtis, Brandon Honeycutt, and Greg McConey making it work on the outside. I mean, these guys are almost just match each other. Step.
Yeah, step for step. Oh, the 12 there thought about going to the bottom. He hesitated there a little bit. That could cost the outside lane a little bit of momentum, but they do a great job getting reorganized. And even with that slight bobble, the 12 is still going to lead that lap at the end. Oh, someone got a bad push coming out of the try over there. That 10 almost had it pointed straight into the fence.
That 10 just did some great things there. As, Matt alluded to the Allen experience with you and Matt Mettler with you all night long. And you know what, Matt, it is definitely an experience when you hang out with me.
Hey, they don't call you the Allen experience for nothing, my friend.
I'm just glad Joe Rogan has it caught on.
Good old Joe. Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of good old Joe, how about Troy Thomas there in that 7th place position? Got a great looking paint scheme on that 3 machine. He's up 2 positions to the good. He's showing a lot of patience out there tonight and knows there's a long way to go in this race. And he's just taking what the racetrack gives him right now. One of the strengths of the driver of that 3 machine is he currently finds himself, slipped one back there as I just called it out. And we'll see those positions change quick, fast, and in a hurry here at speeds of almost 200 miles an hour. And I believe he has a teammate there in tow in the 61 of Rowan Lloyd on that outside as well.
Yeah, don't forget tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow at 7 Eastern as Dave Riegel finally gets his dirt experience. For the first time, Dirt Mafia Motorsports presents the first annual Thanksgiving Thunder featuring the Dirt Car Mini Stocks for 100 laps at Kokomo Speedway. And then we're going to reset it and go pro late model racing at Kokomo Speedway for 100 laps with Dirt Mafia Motorsports. Catch all the action with the Allen experience at Dave Riegel live here on Sim Racing Media. And Matt, that one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's going to be a great time as Dave makes his debut, I believe, on the dirt track side of things. That should be a lot of fun. Make sure you stick around, you smash the like button, ring the bell so you can be right here along for the ride right here on SRM when those boys do battle tomorrow night. As Greg McConey now reinserts himself to the front of this piece. This time a little bit of a different dance partner like we were talking about earlier. This time in the form of Dennis Kahn, now up to second, his highest position on the evening.
Yeah, Dennis Kahn, he's one of those drivers that is very good at taking what the track gives him. Greg McConey out front, bailing on that outside line. As, this looks like a strategy move that Kinsley Smith is back there in the 9th position, right behind Troy Thomas. Troy Thomas just being patient, racing the racetrack. Rowan Lloyd back there in 11th. He's also being patient too. But the thing is with this league, in these cars, in this series, and how racing clean, and they pride themselves on safety, you can't really afford to be back there too long. You got to make moves.
Well, I think here being a plate race, as long as you can stick with the lead pack, or better yet, just stay with the draft, you'll be in good shape. In fact, we see some of these drivers. You mentioned Kinsley Smith. I've noticed when I'm out there in competition from time to time, he will purposely go to the back and see how long it takes him to move through the field. One of the qualities that make the driver of that 15 so good. And I think that's kind of what he's doing right now. He's getting back in the dirty air, kind of putting himself in the hornet's nest. As we see a big-time move there as he gets a run. He's going to send it to the outside. He's going to see if the 3 goes with him, and he does. No surprise there. Honey Bunches of Oats comes up to the outside of the racetrack, picks up his buddy. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're trying to find out exactly, I think, how long it takes them to go from the back to the front. And usually when it's go time, typically the Shake and Bake boys, Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt, usually find themselves working together as they are right now out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, usually a lot of drivers would stress when they're just 2 of them up there on the high side, but not Kinsley and not Brandon, as they are back there running 9th and 10th. Or sorry, 8th and 9th. Wow. Hello, track awareness.
Alan, you know what? These positions do change at a lightning pace. So, hey, I don't fault you there one bit. Oh, there was a big-time run there.
And the one Sam Frazier checking in on YouTube.com live chat. Brandon Honeycutt biased me. 13 FTW. He's eating an entire pizza by himself. Burrito pizza by himself.
Well, hey, you know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea now that I think about it. Well, we appreciate him sounding off here in the YouTube.com live chat, letting us know who he's pulling for tonight. And that driver continues to work his way towards the front with his dance partner, or his preferred wingman, I should say, there, being pushed by Kinsley Smith in that Bash Tracker 15. Ooh, you see that big-time wiggle there out of Honeycutt.
I just love that paint scheme that Kinsley Smith has done. I mean, look, he's thrown it back to Michael Waltrip on multiple occasions, driving the old Aaron's Dream Machine.
Yeah, he definitely, or at least in my opinion, is a big fan of DEI, and we see him fly the Michael Waltrip colors quite frequently. But tonight, he's kind of changing it up a little bit, still keeping it DEI related, but really throwing it back there to Martin Truex Jr., who just finished up his last full season of full-time racing. And no surprise that these two have marched their way to the front, and they're trying to get that high lane dialed up now, ripping top shelf for Mama Licks to hide the cookies.
Yeah, as these guys work 2 by 2, doing it John's Force style. These guys are, just being patient, racing the racetrack as we bring up that weather for you real quick. And Matt, it is what I like to call Chambers Commerce type of night. But as well as anybody, 73 degrees in Florida with 95% relative humidity. And the track temperature is about 72 degrees warmer, or 2 degrees warmer than the ambient temperature. But we're under a cloudy sky. So, not to mention, but we also got an 11-mile-an-hour wind. Now, that could be a tailwind or a headwind. We don't know because we're not inside the race cars.
However, that could be an invisible force that could sometimes get these cars out of shape in certain conditions that these drivers are going to have to keep in the back of their mind is, wow, look at this. I mean, the 13 and the 15, they are pointed like a laser before they broke apart there in the corner, and you can just see how much momentum they had built up as they kind of shot out in front of that pack of cars just behind them. And now Judson Curtis, your pole sitter, has now caught up with that crazy train there on the high side. And don't look now, but that bottom lane being led by the Nitrous Cowboy, he's coming up to the front. He's going to start making a statement here soon.
The Nitrous Cowboy leading that inside line. Here he comes. Now he's currently third. I mean, man, I tell you what, it's an absolute blast for racing with Troy Thomas. And don't forget, Tuesday night, they're going dirt racing with the Racing Elite Truck Series. And I'm going to strap into the truck Tuesday night, Matt, and give it a whirl.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I know you like your truck series racing, especially in those primetime events, so I hope that run goes well for you, buddy. But very impressed here with the way that Thomas has just took his time and made his way to the front of that inside lane. The Colonel's got it dialed up there to extra spicy. He had a little bit of a wiggle there coming into the corner. And we've seen that a couple times out of that TRD-powered machine in the 10 ride. But, hey, you know what? That just means that car has got an awful lot of speed into the corner. And sometimes you just dance a little bit. That seems to be a common trend here with this next-gen car. As that outside lane, though, continues to have the hot hand. That's Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith. And now the caboose in that 3-car pack is going to be followed up by Judson Curtis as they run 1, 2, 3 on the high side.
Now, I feel like, Matt, and back me up on this because we're both drivers, I feel like that you can get behind the wrong car. Not necessarily, you can get behind a slower car. And there are slow cars in this field. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's only 12 of them, but 1 out of the 12 might not match up to what you're looking for as a drafting partner. And I believe that could really slow you down or frustrate you.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. Everyone says, hey, or a lot of, I shouldn't say everyone, but there's a lot of drivers and fans that feel, hey, there's no skill involved in plate racing. And I highly disagree. I think it's just the opposite. But to your point, you're absolutely right. With that being said, drivers attack these races, differently. For example, when you're in the draft right now, take example for Brandon Honeycutt and Kensley Smith, while the 13 is wide open right now, he is holding it to the floor. That is completely different right now for the 15. So some drivers, they'll keep it wide open and they'll trail brake. Other guys, they'll actually just lift off the throttle a little bit. But to your point, that's going to really change the dynamic of how your car sucks up and syncs up with the guy that you're working with. So sometimes, if the way you draft doesn't necessarily mesh with another driver out there on the racetrack, that can lead to bad things happening as you can, accidentally bump draft someone getting into the corner, or especially when it's close quarters, when you're 3 wide, just a mere inches of each other, that can spark the big one. And the other point is sometimes you could have a guy with a little bit of damage out there in the field that you don't necessarily know has damage, and then you can start going, the wrong way real quick. So you're right, 100%, Alan. You have to find the right dancing partner, the right battle buddy out there where you have that same chemistry, that same type of, mindset, the way you attack these races to really amplify and give you the best possible shot to punch your ticket into victory lane when all is said and done. And to that point, I think Curtis is doing a really good job here working with these the 2 leaders up here on the high side of the racetrack, because it doesn't seem like anyone has been able to go up there and dethrone that 13 since that Lone Star Toyota has joined that group on the top shelf.
Yeah, right where Mama hides the cookies. And I tell you what, Matt, I was reading on Flow Racing this morning, and the Chili Bowl is going to get rowdy this year. Rowdy Bush making his Chili Bowl debut. He's going to try to qualify in for the Chili Bowl. And if you don't know what that is, Matt, it's an indoor midget race in Tulsa, Oklahoma in January. He's done the Tulsa Shootout a couple years now. He wants to drive a Chili Bowl midget.
I say that sounds like a lot of gas with all that chili you were talking about, but now I see where you're going with it. Indoor racing, the Chili Bowl, it's wintertime, hence probably where the chili comes in there. But I don't know if this is the first, or you just said it, hello, Kurt Busch's first time, so
Rowdy,
it's going to be
rowdy. We're getting rowdy.
We're getting rowdy, exactly. You read my mind. That's where we're going with it. And speaking of getting rowdy, that inside lane being led by that 11 machine now with a big push into the corner from the 55 of Truth Hoke. Might have found some chemistry on that inside lane to come up here and challenge those 3 cars that have been dominating at the outside here as they continue to creep in a little closer just past the start-finish line as we get ready to fire off into turn 1 here momentarily.
Lap 25 of 80, 24 laps in the books. And, this is one of those races where, they've been clean and green. 12 cars on the race, 11 cars on the racetrack. And, there's been nothing too egregious going on right now. And everybody's, right there. No one's really running away with it.
No, you're right. This race has been lean, mean, and green since the drop of the green flag. And the other thing about the Racers Elite, we don't have those dreaded stage breaks. So the only thing that is going to slow down the party out there on the racetrack is if we see a dreaded caution flag, which, quite frankly, has no indications of appearing right now, at least what we've seen here in the opening stages, or the opening laps of this race, I should say. As everyone continues to chase. Brandon Honeycutt there in the 13. Kinsley Smith currently resides in second, while your pole sitter, Judson Curtis, rounds out your money position there in that third and final podium spot. Chris Balsey and Truth Hoke round out the top 5. In fact, you can thank Truth for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. 5, 5, 5, 5, and 55. If you should win, 25% goes to the driver for helping you with those lottery numbers tonight.
I thought 25% were going to go to the booth.
Oh, we don't discuss our rates live on air. That would be something, though, wouldn't it, if someone actually played those numbers 5, 5, 5, and lo and behold, they won a pick 3. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know if it's ever happened, but I'm sure have recommended it a time or two over the past couple years of being up here, in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth.
Well, I tell you what, Matt. If you saw what I had going on right now, so we're commentating on the race, right?
Correct.
Knowing there's a dirt race on right now out of Senoia, Georgia, the Floor Racing Night in America season finale. Look, Matt, if you watch any dirt racing at all, check out the Floor Racing Night in America series. It's a midweek series for late models. And, it's not like every week, so you're not going to get burnt out, But a lot of tracks want these guys to come. They run them and High Limit run the most efficient shows that you'll ever see. The High Limit Sprint Car Series, watch them on Tuesday nights. But anyways, so Jason Fager, I believe, is the points leader right now in the Floor Racing Night in America standings. As they're racing at Senoia, Georgia, at the Senoia Raceway. And I tell you what, you will see a lot of drivers that race on iRacing in your dirt modified rinks, in your dirt late model rinks, in your asphalt late models. Think about it. It's this year's Snowball Derby, Ty Majeski on iRacing. He's going to be strapping in. So, if you want to race, you can race on these guys. You can race against these guys on any given night. As you watch these guys cut their teeth on iRacing, and I firmly believe these guys go on iRacing through the wintertime just to stay sharp and stay race ready. That way, when they get into the car at Daytona or at Forbid the Sunshine Nationals and Evolution here in 1 month's time, they're race ready. They have an idea what's going on.
Yeah, and let's face it, iRacing, probably the best simulation motorsports product out there other than the real thing. And, that echoes, you mentioned some of the pro drivers, and, that echoes across, not only race NASCAR competition, but, into Formula One. You see Max Verstappen very active on the iRacing.com servers, and that seems to be a general consensus. And, not only that, also a big part of the wow factor for me, as we got first wave of pit stops, as it's a fast and furious affair. Let's see who wins the battle on the pit road. Man, that seemed like it was deadlock between the 15 of Smith and the 13 of Honeycutt.
Now, unlike Talladega, Matt, where you're going to see drivers not so much take tires but gas, I would imagine these guys are at least going to take right sides.
Yeah, right sides will not slow you down here. As that first wave of cars now currently getting service on the racetrack, that's going to turn it over to the long run boys. And there you go. You have the Mac Tonight 98 Mustang being piloted by Andrew Teff, the Colonel. Kirby Wainscott there in that Racers Elite Wrap machine. And then I believe that's going to be the 11 of Chris Balsey as well, still out on the racetrack. Now, the key is, can these three race cars continue? Ooh, they got a little bit out of shape there. Perhaps maybe the 10 thought Teff was coming down pit road. But where I'm going with this is it's all about executing under green flag conditions. Can these three race cars maintain a quick enough pace and then execute on pit road, get the surface and come off to where when they blend back in on the racetrack, they'll be within draft's reach of this lead pack. And if you get it right, it's a thing of beauty. And if you miss on it, Alan, you know how that goes. It's a long race from there because then you almost need a yellow to have a chance to get back into contention.
Yeah, last night Auto Club was not the night that the 00 wanted because, well, right as the right as we're gridding and Dave's running down the lineup, guess who has charter, guess whose internet takes us down.
Did the Allen experience lose his connection while racing on the racetrack?
He lost his connection, then he lost his mind. As I came within one lap down, and they got caught up in an incident with 30 seconds.
Oh, so it went from bad to worse for you, unfortunately.
It did.
And I really can't think of a time when I've seen your internet drop. So, of course, you seem to have luck like mine. And
it's always at the convenient time.
You know, right. At the best time possible. Probably when you were having a decent run going as well, if I had to guess.
Well, luckily we're still on pit road. So, since we started 3 laps back.
Oh, so you took the grid. Well, you're a green flag. 3 laps off the lead pace, huh?
Yes.
Well, hey, man, I give you a lot of props for sticking with it. If I started a race 3 laps down going up against, this competition, I probably would have went out there if I wanted some track practice and test session. But that's a lot to get back on a racetrack like Auto Club Speedway. One of the last great houses that Penske built, as Dave Regal would like to say. However, that track, unfortunately, is no more, but continues to live on here on the iRacing server side of things. And that's one of the great things, about iRacing as well, as we've seen a lot of these smaller racetracks, even some of the big ones like Auto Club, just fall to the clutches in current times and what's going on in the motorsports world. But hey, still lives here on the sim, and so thankful for these laser scan tracks that iRacing has in their Rolodex, because let's face it, without it, we wouldn't be able to turn laps on some of these historic racetracks as they're just no longer present and available. As we now cycle back up here to the point is, look at the lead that Brandon Honeycutt, Kinsley Smith have racked up on the competition. In fact, no surprise, McConey there is picking up the caboose. I mean, you got to go back like 2 counties before you pick up that second group of race cars. And and Honeycutt's putting down some lap times, Alan. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, last time by, he just ran a 46.87. I mean, he is really turning and burning out there, even with only 4 cars in his dream.
Exactly. And you know what, Matt? When you moved to Florida, by the way, of Buffalo, I feel like you split the state. You're like, you know what? I don't want to go to be in Miami. I really don't want to be in Daytona. Hey, we'll just land right somewhere in the middle.
It's funny, it certainly would seem like that from your perspective. However, I can tell you during the planning process, that didn't even come to mind. And it's truly not 50-50. Technically, I'm closer to Homestead, Miami than I am to Angel Santiago's home track in Daytona. But for all intents and purposes, it's close enough. It's, probably 55, somewhere in that range.
Oh,
40-60, probably 40-60. I'd say that's fair.
40-60 split? Okay. We'll go
40-60 split.
Well,
And
I tell you what, Matt, not to cut you off, but Brandon Honeycutt, showing why he's deserving to be in this championship points battle. I mean, these guys have showed up every Friday. They could have easily said, you know what, we're going to go watch the fight that's going to happen here in a couple hours' time. I mean, call this the pre-card, right? The pre-fight card.
Pre-fight card is, hey, we're having a big heavyweight showdown here under the lights at Daytona. Hey, and why not start your night off with us right here on SRM? Get to see some great restrictor plate racing, or I'm sorry, tapered spacer racing. Let's be technical here. Want to make sure we're calling it like it is. Some tapered spacer here racing. And then once these guys have it all wrapped up, switch it over to Netflix and watch Tyson do his thing to close your night out. As, man, this group of 4 cars continues to impress as they keep pulling out a gap on the competition here. And, the other thing is, Alan, this second pack of cars, they have more numbers. However, Honeycutt and Kinsley Smith continue to pull away by a little bit.
Ever so slightly, just pulling away. And you can watch that interval just grow and grow and grow. As these guys need to get a little more organized. Andrew Chubb's leading the charge here on lap 39. We have 41 laps to go. But right now, Matt, we're going to go ahead and step aside and take our first commercial break of the night. So we could bring you 40 more laps of green flag action commercial free. We're going to go side by side. You almost staying here live on Sim Racing Media. We'll be right back after these messages.
Imagine a theater experience so real you're part of the action. Breakthrough technology that shakes your seat at precisely the right moment so you can feel the action on the screen. Choose 4D cinemas powered by Butt Kicker for the ultimate theater experience. And for the ultimate in movies, gaming, and sports at home, add your own Butt Kicker. A simple, wireless, affordable device that takes just seconds to install. Text the word on the screen right now to receive a special offer. Get Butt Kicker and feel what you've been missing.
Welcome back to Daytona Beach, Florida, as we are 44 laps in to this 80-lap affair. I'm Alan Bergen, alongside me Matt Metler, out of the great state of Florida. And Brandon Honeycutt continues to lead by just a tenth of a second over Kinsley Smith. As Kinsley Smith's going to, well, that's the 17 car of Judson Curtis, and he's going to fall back to the end of the line here. And Matt, we saw this front pack just be so organized, as right now Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt are, essentially gapping Chris Blasi and Greg McConey.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'll tell you what, while we were away under, on the break, on the side-by-side, they did a little adjustment there in that second pack. And what they did is they got two Fords at the point. Now you have the 98 of Teft and the 4 of Dennis Kahn there. And when they did that, that pack really got some boogie going. And now, as you can see, they are within an arm's reach of that 12 of McConey. In fact, they're going to have a big-time run. No surprise, those Fords going to send it to the high side of the racetrack and see how far they can carry this momentum. But, Alan, a lot like in real life, the Fords in this next-gen configuration, they have the least amount of drag over the Chevrolets and the Toyotas. Ooh, big-time move there, a little side draft from the 98. He's going to turn and burn. He's going to take the 4 with him. And Teft rolling deep on the bottom. He's going to take it back to the point as we got a John Force special coming out of 4. Pick your poison. Alan, do you like the high side, or are you rolling with Teft on the bottom?
You know what? I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to the inside. As we're watching Judson Curtis, your pole sitter, down 9 spots. He essentially has fallen all the way back to 11th.
Yeah, someone put some sauerkraut in his Christmas cookies, because I'll tell you what, that was your pole sitter. as Alan Bergen makes me break my beard here in the broadcast booth. But, this goes to what I was talking about earlier with you. No stage breaks in the Racers Elite Series. I don't care, which division, which league you choose to run in. And you have one pit stop. Go a little astray. You don't have to, absolutely, serve up hot garbage on pit road. But it'll make you pay, and that's unfortunately what has happened in the 17 camp. He's the first car a lap down, however, as you know, he really needs a caution flag to get back into this race.
He needs one. We don't want one. We want to stay mean and green. We have 32 laps left, or 33 laps left in the book from Daytona. And, speaking of truck series and stages, Matt, next year I'm going to be making my TNN debut with Tuesday Night Trucks over on the SNN side of things. From the cockpit.
What happened in the cockpit?
I'm going to be making my driving debut with Tuesday Night NASCAR.
Oh, awesome. You cut out there for a moment, so all I heard about was something in the cockpit. But that, hey, you'll be a great addition over there. That's an open setup series, and, those guys are, all 3 of those series, the Stacy Strong Cup series, the Monday Night Xfinity series, and the trucks. I mean, that is a star-studded lineup through and through, and I look forward to watching you compete out there from time to time, and hope that campaign goes well for you, Alan, as Andrew Teft and Honeycutt are having their heavyweight bout of their own right now as they keep trading paint. Well, not. I wouldn't say. Let me say it differently. They're not trading paint. They haven't made contact out on the racetrack, but they are certainly exchanging punches out there for who's going to lead the lap. And it's been close quarters each time they pass Barney in the flag stand.
Yeah, Barney. You know, I think. You know, I have those nights where I have bad nights. They can tell when I'm having a rough night because I won't get on race radio. But when I'm making jokes, I'm having a pretty good night. You know, in this series, next year in their Cup Series, starting in January, they're going to not one, but 2 road courses in these next-gen cars, Matt. One being Daytona road course and the other one being Coda. And we all know how our buddy Dave Regalton loves road racing.
Oh, yeah. He'll call it a 5-alarm snooze fest. Hey, we all have the tracks we like and the ones we dislike. And, not that I'm a huge fan of road course racing, but, I fully believe you put the right drivers out there on the racetrack, and as long as it's entertaining, hey, I'm going to do my part up here in the booth as, while the 4 really served up a big-time push there to that Big Mac machine on the bottom, Andrew Teft. Another thing I've noticed about Teft, he really holds a push well. I mean, you could serve it up to him on the business end of that race car, and he still keeps that 98 machine pointed straight. Does a really good job as Wade Scott throws the hot and spicy down in front of the 98 as he now going to lead that inside lane.
Did you ever hear the story about Matt Long?
Talking about the driver of the 97 in the Stacey Strong Cup Series.
Yes. So
which story in particular?
Okay, so we're at Chicago Road Course. We're at the street course of Chicago, right? He buys the track 90 minutes before that race goes green. Okay? And wins.
Are you kidding me?
And blew Dave's mind. Look.
That would blow my mind, too.
Buys the track 90 minutes before the race goes green. Goes out, makes a couple of laps, and wins the dang thing.
I'll tell you what. If I competed in that race, I would have been madder than a Keebler elf that got demoted to Fudge Packer. If someone hasn't even turned a lap there, goes out there and puts on a clinic. But, Matty Long, he's a road course ace by trade. I only know that because I've had the luxury of calling some of those races throughout the course of their 2024 campaign. But still, I mean, to do that against such great competition, I mean, that has to be up there with some of the things, I wouldn't necessarily believe unless I could roll back the broadcast tape to rewatch it. But, Matt Long has had some performances like that. I'm not surprised he was the one to do it. However, that is probably an accolade he's going to carry with him for a while as Brandon Honeycutt now takes over the lead here. On the high side, once again, as the Shake and Bake boys are paired back up. And don't look now, that 17 has found some mojo. Still a lap down, but he can certainly help someone's hand here if he chooses to in the closing laps of this race. How many times have we seen that, Alan, where a car that's technically not on the lead lap?
Well, here we go.
Oh, let's check this out.
Pit stops, engage. Look at that cleanliness just getting on the pit road, Matt. I mean, these guys are just absolute surgeons when it comes to getting on the pit road. Surgeons.
Yes, I mean, they were really aggressive there with the way they attacked pit road. You didn't even see any tire smoke, and I'm not even seeing any potential signs of a speeding penalty there. But that's the other part of the keys to victory lane, that you have to have that box checked, and especially under green flag conditions here at Daytona or at a track like Talladega, even the new revamped Atlanta. You have to get it done in the trenches on pit road. You have to execute because, I mean, you can have a fast car. I mean, we know the 17 is quick. He was your pole sitter, and yet some type of a miscue, something happened, I believe, where he came down pit road either by himself or perhaps he overslid his box, And that one hiccup has cost him a chance to contend here for a win, as he's still being scored one lap down to the 11th place position, as well the 15 and 13 going back to doing their business as usual, and they're out here running 1-2.
Yeah, 1-2, and I mean, is there any surprise to see that Greg McConey is up there in the top 4? I mean, he just quietly puts himself there, rides around, and when it's go time, you're going to see that 12 car come to life.
Yeah, he's probably down there in the driver's chat. He's drawn up some big time plans, his own version of the annexation of Puerto Rico, and he's going to have a big time Hail Mary planned out with everyone that's in that chat. That's just how McConey operates. And right now, he's just being the silent killer right now. He's stalking his prey, sizing up the competition, and when it's time to execute, you'll see big things happen out of that 12 and whoever is in that driver's chat with him, as Honeycutt's going to lead that lap. Last time by, I posted a 46:45. Again, still running sub 47-second lap times out there, and that's a pretty quick pace considering that they're in this next-gen car.
23 laps to go here from Daytona. And Matt, I mean, I'm not going to say it. But my God. I mean, these guys are single filed out. I will tell you this though. You can take any one of these drivers out of this league, put them over at SNN. Not with season 1, but season 2, they run 2 consecutive seasons. I bet you they'd be up to speed.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I'll back you up all day on that statement there, Alan. And go ahead.
And it looks like this front line single filed out. Greg McConey's got a lot of help in form of his outsider teammates. And it's been announced that myself and Troy Thomas will be switching back to Toyotas next year.
Oh, he's coming back over to the dark side.
I mean, that might be the force.
I'll tell you what. I feel comfortable in the Toyota. I think it executes well on short tracks, your intermediates, and super speedways. As ever since they changed the nose of that Mustang, and some drivers swear to God all these cars feel the same. To me, they don't. And ever since they changed the nose on that Mustang, it took something away from the race car. For me personally, as Honeycutt's going to win the battle here off of pit road, McConey's going to leapfrog. He's going to come out P2 in this pack of race cars. So you're going to have 3 Mustangs, a Toyota and a Camaro, and this is what it's all about right here. You got Teft, you got the 4, and then you got Wayne Scott. Let's see how well this group of cars that came down pit road did. And given the fact of where Teft is right now, I'm going to say McConey and company did a good job getting on and off of pit road, as they're still north of 5 seconds ahead of this group.
Yeah, I mean, as you just watch that time just dwindle down for Brandon Honeycutt. Kinsley Smith out front leading this one. Not by a whole lot, though.
Not by a whole lot, but sometimes it's not sometimes it's not about how long the stick is. It's about, how well you can use it. And that being, the quality of drivers that you have inside the cockpit of the race car. And you can't get much better than the 13 and the 15 here at Daytona. I don't think they're going to get freight trained here. You've seen them aggressively pushing each other coming off of pit road there, and I believe they're going to be at speed by the time that Camaro catches them. In fact, he is getting a face full from the 12 of McConey. He knows now's the time they really got to go if they want to catch Honeycutt and Kinsley Smith. And that may be the saving grace, Alan, that there's only 2 cars at the front of this thing between Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt. I mean, they're going to have to push themselves to the moon to try and hold off, 4 cars. Well, make that 5 cars if Roland Lloyd here can hang on to the draft here in that 61 machine, who's up 5 positions from where he started in that 7th place position.
Yeah, to your point, as Roland Lloyd watches Truth Hope's car get smaller and smaller and smaller. And
yeah, he has lost the draft, unfortunately, not to cut you off there.
Yeah. Bad news bears for Roland Lloyd out of Hudson, Illinois. I mean,
the good news though, he does have one more pack of race cars. In fact, there's 3 of them coming right now, being led by Andrew Teft. So he should be able to hold on to this group. And look at the closing speed. I mean, it looks like Teft has another 300 horsepower than when you're out there in single car trim. And that's just the power of the draft and why it is so critical that you stay with the pack, or at least, with a group of cars where you can use that additional speed to your advantage, because without it, it's a lost cause. It's just not possible.
Yeah, as you say that, Brandon Roland Lloyd is the last car in the lead lap as Judson Curtis goes down the lap. And, this Roland Lloyd is trying to get in there. That is Kirby on the backside of the race car. Once again, we want to thank everybody for making the Racing Elite Cup Series, Super Speedway Series, if you will, your entertainment destination, along with SRM here on this Friday night, whether it be, whether you're watching Christmas lights with the family in your car and you've got us on YouTube, and the wife's driving you crazy, the girlfriend, or whether you're on your phone at your home or at a relative's house, get those likes, get those bells ringing. That way you're notified every time that Sim Racing Media and the Racing Elite Cup Series goes on the air.
That's right. Join the family that brings you 6 days of high-flying, high-octane racing action right here on Sim Racing Media. And Alan, check out what is happening at the front of this field as McConey and the boys have slingshotted Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt. And McConey now leads for the first time deep into this race. Oh, hey, he's got the Nitrous Cowboy right on his heels. Right on cue for McConey. Really starting to show his hand as the laps wind down. This is the type of drive that you expect out of that 12th.
Kinsley Smith's going to shove it into the wall just a little bit. Going to catch a little bit of that Daytona stripage going on right now as we got 15 laps to go. Greg McConey doesn't want to check out Steve Clark, but looking back here, Andrew Teft back here in that 7th position. And Matt, the sands of the hours glass is starting to run out for these guys.
Yeah, it's the midnight oil is burning for these guys at a rapid rate, and they're almost going to have to do something biblical to run this lead pack down. However, they are side by side right now, and if you haven't noticed, they are bleeding some time off. They are running them down. Their saving grace will be as if this lead pack stays 2 by 2 side by side, and if they can stay welded like that with the 4 all up in the business end of the 98 of Teft's race car, they will be there as they finally get singled back out, but I think they took too long.
I just hope the Andrew Teft's car doesn't fart. It took me 13 laps until 13 laps ago, but they finally did it. When you can render the great Matt Metler speechless, you're doing something great.
I don't think that's the type of shot to the face we were talking about, but thank you for keeping it alive and festive.
You know,
Keeping us in the holiday spirit up here in the booth. Thank you.
you know,
That's something Dave Regal would have said.
look, I have a you've seen a Christmas Story, right? With the kid that wants a BB gun and everybody
Will
shows
shoot
it.
your eye out?
Yeah. You know, I have a leg lamp. I don't know if I ever showed you a picture of it, but I have a leg lamp. I have two of them actually. One
I
is
did see the one. I didn't know you have two.
I have two. One stays at work. And the owner of my company that I work for, he goes, you know what, Alan? I almost came to your maintenance office and got that leg lamp and put it in the all-employee meeting. I said, you should have. Who doesn't like the leg lamp? Have you seen that movie? Go watch
Yes.
it. Instant classic. That and the Griswolds, top two.
I got to go with the National Lampoon's Christmas if I had to pick one, but they're both very good in their own way.
Well, look, I watch 24 hours of A Christmas Story every year. Christmas Eve, good TV, ain't happening. I'm not even near iRacing on Christmas Eve because I'm watching that. And I did the math real quick. I did the math. If you watch it on TBS and TNT, it's really 48 hours.
Oh my God, not to cut you off there, but apparently extra gases inside the cockpit of the race car have ignited Andrew Teft, and he just went a 45.56. Not a 46.56, a 45.56. For that Big Mac machine, that thing has come aflame. Where did he conjure up that run in that Mustang? That is absolutely, I don't want to say stupid, but that is an absolute blistering lap. He has really come alive.
I'm pretty sure you offended Dennis Kane's nostrils or nasal passages. But hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
And I know I call, Troy Thomas the nitrous cowboy, but Teft had some of his own secret stuff there inside that Mustang, because I mean that's a tough lap to put up in a fixed setup. I mean, that is really getting after it.
I mean, maybe
he must have summoned the gates of hell on that one, because that was incredible.
Either he's got the secret sauce, which we all know is Thousand Island dressing in that car. 9 laps to kill.
Well, you definitely don't want to go doing that or finding out where the Waffle House dumped the bacon grease, especially here in the late going.
I tell you what, though, speaking of Waffle House right now, back here around the Andrew Tuft area, there is more action going on in a Waffle House at 3 a.m.
Oh, hey, this is go time right now. This is when you turn the intensity up to 1,000. That switch flicks inside the helmet. You start seeing red. No less give, more take. And it's all about trying to put yourself, your sponsor, and your manufacturer in victory lane.
For as much
I'll tell you what, they don't want to let this 98 get a sniff of the lead here, because that Mustang is just, it's on rails right now. I'm watching some of the lap times Teft puts down, and he'll just get some of these huge runs. I mean, the 4 is just absolutely pushing the daylights out of him at time, and they can almost get him there. Then when they have to break apart, obviously, because they don't want to overheat, they don't want to prematurely blow the engine, on those race cars. But when they get hooked back up again, he just rockets right back to the front. And now Teft's going to try to go to the high side of the racetrack here, see if he can dial up a beat on Honeycutt. And with the 4 in tow, I think Teft is going to be a factor in this race before it's over. Look at the move.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. We're going to stick with this battle.
Teft is there now. He is with the lead draft now. In fact, he has a pack of Hungry Wolves with him on the bottom. Troy Thomas, Truth Hoke there as well. And you're trying to dethrone probably the 3 strongest race cars out here in competition, that being the 12 of McConey, the 15 of Kinsley Smith, and the 13 of Honeycutt.
What are we going to do with this right here? This 17 car's got to stay high. Oh, great track awareness. Oh, boy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Teft doesn't have to worry about me turning his dreams into an inferno because I'm up here in the booth. So at least that's one thing Andrew doesn't have to worry about.
Storm says National Lampoons, by the way. 5 phalanges, 5 laps to go, or the handshake lap, if you will. Greg McConey leads Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt. Chris Blasey running fourth. Rowan Lloyd finds himself back up to 5th. Andrew Tuff down there in 7th, as right now Andrew Tuff needs a little help from his friends, and that's in the form of, well, the Colonel and Jim Biscayne.
Tell you what, that outside lane has the numbers right now. Teft is fighting for his life right now on the bottom. I really thought, he would have lured more cars, to the bottom of the racetrack, just knowing knowing his performance history here at this racetrack. But it's just not happening right now. Some of these drivers are probably starting to figure out, hey, the only way we're going to beat Andrew Teft is to not work with Andrew Teft. And I hate to put it like that. But, let's face it. Andrew has really come on strong here. And I've noticed that each time I get the opportunity to go out there and race against him, that he has consistently gotten better and better. And just as I say that, the 55 of Hoke is going to poke his nose down there to the bottom, and let's see if Teft picks him up and can rocket him to the front.
That's what Andrew needed right there.
Bingo.
Hoke needs to be down on the inside right now. They need that strength in numbers.
Sometimes one car can make all the difference in the world. Now, I'll tell you what, the 55 just got to bite his lip and pray to God he can hold it straight, because look at that. The 98 is welded to the 55 right now. Big time wiggle getting into the corner. He had a ton of speed.
Here we are, 2 laps to go. Popsicle stick lap. Please stay green.
Is it the countdown to destruction, or is it the countdown to the checkered flag? Stick right here with us on Sim Racing Media as we're under 2 laps to go. And the wild child has it dialed up on the top shelf of the racetrack. Greg McConey continues to carry the helm, carries the torch here. But 11 other drivers may have other plans. Let's see who can possibly dethrone one of the greatest sim racing plate racers that I have the privilege of knowing. In fact, there's 3 good ones right behind that 12 machine, but McConey probably one of the best that I know.
So Popsicle Six, the white flag is up. We are racing back to Decker.
Another car is going to come down to the bottom. Here we go. That annexation of Puerto Rico plan I was talking to you about, Alan, now it is time to execute. Oh God, here we go. Teft just got served breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he goes up and absolutely blisters the retaining wall. It's a John Force special down the backstretch. It's McConey going up against Chris Balsey in the 11. Ford on Chevrolet, side by side, door to door into 3 and 4, Alan.
Blasey got the slide advantage. Greg McConey going to try to side draft him, slow him down. And here we come. Out of turn number 3. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Blasey. Blasey gets it. McConey for second. Chris Oates for third. And real quick, let's go back to the Andrew Teft crash.
I still can't believe Blasey blanks McCody at the start-finish line. As we go back to the SRM instant replay.
So here it is, high above the chopper. And, Honeycutt gets a bad bump, and so does Rowan Lloyd from Dennis Kane. And, well, that is one sad Mac at Night car.
He's going to be picking up the French fries in that cockpit for over a month.
Oh, boy, let's take a look.
The proverbial bomb goes literally off in Tef's face again. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen similar instances happen to Andrew in the closing moments of a race where it almost feels like he's either going to win or is in contention, and then bad things happen quick, fast, and in a hurry to that 98.
We're going to go ahead and see. Let's go on board with. Let's see. I want to go on board with Brandon Honeycutt just to see what he saw. Here we go. Yeah, he's got the best view. As we're gonna back this up right there, breaking the fourth wall. Oh, he just. Oh boy. And then once here we are. Here's what Rowan Lloyd out of Hudson, Illinois, what he saw. I feel like Rowan got a bad bump and just.
It looked like Honeycutt picked up a bad case of the honey smacks, or in this case, a bad push, and it sent him down the racetrack. And unfortunately, there was a target painted on the side of that 98 that Honeycutt just had nothing he could do at that point in time.
Here's one more look at it from Dennis Kane. As we're going to bring it down there. Here we go. Here's what Dennis Kane saw. Here's the initial bump. And then,
that almost looked like that bump that was being administered happened right when I've just had a massive brain fart here trying to just comprehend what happened here, but as it looked like you had multiple pushes happening simultaneously, and you cannot push the pusher, and I think that's what set the 13 aflame there on that one. But nonetheless, we still had a heck of a finish at the line. The 11 machine starts in that 6th place position, but ends up P1 here at the #1 house in the state of Florida, right here in Daytona.
Yep, and speaking of the race winner, Matt, you had the race winner.
Chris, Matt, and Alan up top in the Tony Trepass Memorial booth. You got a copy there, bud?
Yeah, man. What's up?
Hey, man, you're what's up. I got to ask you, man. 2 laps to go. Did you think you were going to be in a full-out drag race with the man, the myth, the legend, Greg McCody, coming to it all for the win?
No, man. I just wanted to stay off of him, to be honest with you. Just make sure we didn't touch side draft all the way to the line.
I'll tell you what, man, that was a almost biblical performance from you there. How were you able just to keep the momentum and just outlast him there, getting to that start finish line? Walk me through the thought process there.
Not get into him, but get as close to him as I can and side draft each other.
Yeah, you certainly, made him deploy the air brake just enough. At one point, it seemed like he had some just a little bit more speed, and the minute you deployed that side draft, it just sucked the air out of his sails, and you were able to get the win. So congratulations there on a job well done. Chris, this race tonight, necessarily wasn't easy for you at times. It was hot and heavy out there on the racetrack. How were you able just to execute on pit road and put yourself in position to be in contention when it counted?
Oh, well, it's funny. Me and Greg and the outsider guys, we all work together. So it was it was kind of fun racing to the end there with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Greg was writing plans and coming up with the game plan as he often does in these plate races. I know I've been inside the chat when he's been in there, and it's always been fun and exciting. Before I cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that 11, bud?
Greg, he does, man. He's got the strategy, and the whole outsiders team, Truth and Troy and Rowan. We all just kind of try to work together, man.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Blasi blasts the competition here at Daytona under the lights in prime time as he puts up a thriller going up against Greg McConey, able to out-drag race him to the finish line. He's your winner. Alan, sending it back up top to you.
Thank you, Matt. And up next, finishing second here tonight, the man, the myth, and the legend, but mostly a legend, Greg McConey. What a drag race, doing it John Force style for the Danes here, getting them on your feet. What did it take, and what more could you needed out of that 12 car to get past Chris Blasi for the win?
So I'm glad iRacing has actually updated the inside line side draft, so it's actually there again. I knew what I did wrong, and once that wreck happened behind us, and I side drafted Chris so hard in the backstretch going into 3, I knew that's where I screwed up because I needed to wait a little bit longer because I gave him enough time to come back using that inside side draft. If I had stayed and waited about a second longer, he wasn't going to pass me, by himself. I certainly had the advantage with the side draft, but Chris timed that. He timed that last side draft perfectly. Maybe I could have bumped him. I don't want to play like that, especially with a teammate. But no, I knew it as soon as I started side drafting him as tight as I did I think it was going into 3, that I knew was going to be my downfall.
Absolutely. And here we are. You're solidly locked into the championship points. You're in a tight battle with Rowan Lloyd as we start to chase race number 1. What's your mindset going through these next 4 weeks and what you're going to need to have happen to get it done here in the points?
Yeah, from here, I mean, this was the first playoff race, so just got to be smart, stay smooth, get solid finishes, just finish races, and I'm going to do everything that I need to do. I'm 2 points behind Chris right now because they just updated everything, and it is what it is. I just got to race and do what I know that I can do, and we'll go from there.
Look, man, before we get you out of here, is there anybody that you'd like to thank to help get you here tonight?
I got to thank all the guys that race in that Outsiders channel. We do a fantastic job together. We do a lot of great work as team. So certainly thank you and shout out to those guys. That was a team win with Chris, Truth, and I taking home the top 3. Kensley and Honeycutt and those guys, when we were all just riding around in that last segment, holding that top line, they could have easily dove underneath me early on, but they stayed with it, and we so shout to them. Andrew puts on a fantastic league. Absolutely shout out to him and the rest of the guys over here at Racers Elite. I got to shout out to my wife and family. Sydney, she does a fantastic job. I got to thank my sponsors, Boffman Excavating and Magical Mama's Creation Crafting and Collectibles, which is my wife's company. You can find her on Whatnot. She's actually live right now in the other room. Just look up Magical Mama on Whatnot. She sells a bunch of collectibles, Disney stuff. She's running a giveaway style game right now. So shout out to her. She does a great job. And thanks to you guys. you guys put on a great show. Can't wait to go back and watch it. I know we may not have had the biggest car count here tonight, but I hope we put on a good show for you guys. And we're second in points, 2 points back. We're in a solid spot. Just gotta race these next 3 races smart, and we can lock this championship away.
All right. Well, good luck on the next one. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good, man.
And that was the voice of Greg McConey there. As we're going to certainly last but not least, driver to 55 car. Matt, this one, I've waited a long time for you to get to try to talk the truth, but here you go.
Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial booth is a driver that doesn't choke, Truth Hogue. What is going on, my friend?
How's it going?
Hey, man, you're what's going on, man. You had the bourbon, you had the bubbles rolling deep out there on the racetrack. It seemed like with a few laps to go, you may have been on the outside of the money looking in, and then you were able to get hooked up there with your teammates, and you lit the afterburner. Was that part of the game plan, or did you just find yourself at the right place at the right time to just fly through the field there and come home with a third place finish, my friend?
I just got lucky, brother. I just got lucky. I just didn't let off the gas when I seen them spinning. I just said, if I'm gonna wreck, I'm gonna wreck. Hold it wide open. Somehow I come out, and then Troy got behind me and pushed me, and I snuck by Kinsley there, picked Kinsley out of him, and got by him.
Yeah, I was going to, you're reading my mind. I was going to ask you about that incident there on the racetrack. I mean, at one point, it seemed like that 55 was going to be caught up in it, but it was like almost biblical. You saw the parting of the Red Sea, and you were able to find a way through that wreck. How are you able to just navigate through that storm that literally broke out right in front of you?
I'd like to tell you this elaborate story, but it was all up, man. I mean, I was just blind going through there. I just held it wide open because I'm going to wreck, but I'm not letting off the gas.
He said he's going to throw his lug nuts over his shoulder, hold it to the floor, and he's going to come out the other side with a solid third place finish, man. Congratulations, Truth. Before I cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that regular 55?
I'd like to thank my wife, Andrew, for putting this on, my teammate, and the outsiders, and SRM for broadcasting.
Well, there he is.
You and Alan.
Sorry.
And you and Alan.
Well, hey, man, we certainly appreciate that. It was a lot of fun watching you guys do battle on the racetrack. And there's a driver right there that can conquer any storm out there on the racetrack. Kept his foot to the floorboards. Wasn't lifting before he seen God or a checkered flag. And he comes home with a solid third place finish. That is the one and only Truth Hogue, driver of the 55. Alan, sending it back topside to you, bud.
Thank you, Matt. And, we get, well, hold on, cooperate. There we go.
Stop, collaborate, and listen, please.
Hey, here we are at the end of this one. Chase race number 1 in the books. And, Matt, before we get out of here and go down to the starting lineup or just finishing order, we know you're DJ by trade. Where can we find you in Florida if we want to go listen to Matt Metler spin the 1s and 2s?
Well, that may be a controversial subject. I'm not sure the audience demographics right now. However, it is on the male entertainment side of the spectrum. If you are into that sort of entertainment, stop by Body Talk in Port St. Lucie, and I'll be up there topside leading the charge, or being the ringleader of the circus, as we like to call it. And that's where you can find me if you're looking to do something here in Central Florida here on a weeknight. All
right, well, there is your one chance at the shameless plug before we get out of here and I go watch the Peach State Classic with Jonathan Davenport on the pole and Ricky Thornton to his outside. We got some more housekeeping business we got to do here as we run down the finishing order with Chris Blasey Parking it in victory lane, Greg McConey finished in second. Truce Hoke rounding out your top 3. Tinsley Smith will park at P4. Rounding out your top 5 and holding down that 5th spot will be Troy Thomas. 6th, 7th, and 8th will go to Dennis Kane, Kirby Wainscott, and Brendan Honeycutt. While Hudson, Illinois' own Rowan Lloyd finishes 9th. Andrew Testament rounds out your top 10. Justin Curtis finished 2 laps down. And having an out-of-body experience is your one and only Matt Metler. And Matt, you know, it's a whole lot of fun having you slide in the booth. The streak stays alive. We are now 4 for 4 in green flag races.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, there's got to be something to it. The mojo is good when you and I jump in the booth. The super speedway side of things is it was lean, mean, and green for its entirety from the drop of the green flag. Limited field, no problem. These drivers still put on a heck of performance under the lights here in prime time from the big house at Daytona. And ultimately, it was Chris Blossy who turned it up the dial just a little bit more. As you heard McConey say, he's grabbed the bottom side, draft works again, ultimately was able to use that and slightly edge the driver of the 12 for a thrilling finish here as he punched his ticket into victory lane.
Yep, and as we close out the show, as the great late Tony Trapasso would always say, as you walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.